Hello interwebs, 'tis I, Sebastian Petroni, and this is F3G2 backstage. It's not a stage, it's just back room. Back room doesn't sound as anything. I don't know why I whispered this earlier, the music is still playing.
You have issues?
That's true. A bunch of them. I gotta review them. But here I am, in my brand new blood drop fingerprint shirt and my crazy orange band-aid because I gave blood right before the show. So if I seem loopier than always, there's a reason. Let's get started. Never underestimate the power of a good comic. Jason Aaron continues to write fan-fucking-tastic Star Wars. It's there. I'm gonna be sad when Tim Cassidy leaves, or John Cassidy rather. I'm gonna be sad when John Cassidy leaves. I'm gonna be happy when I see the Simone Bianchi villain issue. I'm gonna be happy when who is it that's taking over? Is it Imminent? I think it's Imminent. It's taking over again. So either way, this book is gonna be beautiful, but they just look like photos. He just did such a great job, and look, that's that perfect quintessential Luke stare of I'm tired and my eyes are focused on nothing. Sometimes I try and play in my head the picture the scene that that he may have looked at to get the pose, the reference, the whatever. And he does a great job. Boba Fett shows up. My review is, I'm not even going to bother to review. There is no flaw. Art, colors, letter, story, pacing, concept, characterization. There's no flaw to be found in the Star Wars comic. There's nothing. There's no flaw. Stop looking. Black Vortex. Cosmic Kitty saves the day. Cosmic Kitty. It just sounds like a weird Japanese toy.
Yeah, it does.
Or a new age shop.
Or some freaky fetish.
I was gonna say weird indie porn. Someone's stripper name? I don't know, but
I can see that one.
But it's so good and it's so pretty, and it does a nice little wrap up without a full wrap up of the. Some people get uncosmified, some people stay their new enhanced way, and even those who don't, there are effects. Also, this is the start of original Jean Grey. You know how they did like the. Actual Jean Grey eventually becomes Phoenix, but it's like, it's not her fault. She's a good person, but the Phoenix is all about. Based on this, actual Jean Grey is a little bitch, and everyone's right to keep putting her on trial. She's like right up in Cyclops' head, trying to, he's like, I don't have a noticeable change, and we don't know what it is, but she's like, and Storm's like, don't read his mind to find. She's like, too late, I'm already on it. And it's worse, it's not in his mind, it's in his heart. Dun dun dun. We don't know what the change is. But she's just a prying little mental bitch, which leads us to the most talked about comic on the internet this week.
Oh yeah.
From fans and from just news channels, it's Iceman comes out weirdly because young Iceman from the past comes out, but even he is confused that future him isn't gay, although he and original. From the past him and from the past Jean Grey discussed that maybe current him is in denial, and they have some theories that make some sense there, but it is possible that it's just the timeline has diverged enough. I mean, within this, Angel does something that he explains in here. Angel stays cosmic, and he explains why, and it's really a good why. He's like, look, I don't like anything that happens to me in the future. So I promised myself I would make the first change I could, so that this means there's no way I can become that because this didn't happen to me in his timeline, so how can I be him? And he jumps at that. So it is possible that along this divergent timeline, we now have, because it would make sense, because if you think about it, the X-Men, whenever the X-Men from the present go to the future, they see the future as it is, and then when they get back to normal, they're able to change. You know, those futures never really come to fruition because comic books. But from the standpoint of the X-Men that we consider the X-Men from the past, they're from the present, and our present is their future, so they could still be able to change things. It's just, we just think of them as from the past, but, you know, time is relative, and all that's not. I have no problem with either Bobby being gay. Was Ultimate X-Men Bobby gay? I can't remember. It's hard to keep track of all these multiple versions of characters. The only problem I have with any of this is, again, invasive little Jean Grey. He hasn't even come to terms with it with himself, and she's in there going, come on, you get it. And I'm like, bitch, you're psychically outing people. That's not cool.
No.
It's one thing, you know, yes, he's already with a group of people that are fairly, you know, they're mutants. They're used to, you know, accepting the fact that, look, we're different and viewed differently from other people. So I don't think they're going to be too harshly judgmental on young Bobby and his choices. However, you know, if someone's still coming to grips with their identity, don't pull that out of their mind and throw that in their face. That ain't right. So yeah. Other than that, the story was mostly kind of a lull between what had happened and what will happen. So it's kind of them catching their breath after Black Vortex and getting ready for their next thing. Although, with all the stuff that's happening for Marvel's Secret Wars and their, you know, the world is going to be changed forever afterwards, like literally. None of these stories feel like they have any weight to me. Like I was reading the weekly Wolverines, number 15, and I was thinking to myself, Wolverine's dead, all this stuff is going on, and who cares? The world is going to end, and we'll either have a version of, so what does any of this matter? It's like living in a comic book world and suddenly being told, you know, it's like the end of Deadpool. It's like it's like you suddenly realize, oh, none of this is all fake. Only it's just me reading it, and it's like, oh, none of this. I already know that next month this whole world is getting revamped. So for all I know, anyone who dies in this won't be dead. Anyone who's dead in this, you know, could be alive. Anyone who's alive in this could be dead, and we could end up with alternate versions of all of them. Or maybe they didn't exist.
Or they could all be bunnies.
Yeah, you know, it's like the smartest thing that DC did with their New 52 was that shocking, jarring change that none of us were ready for. I get it, because if we'd known it was coming, we'd be reading books going, why? Why?
Aren't we doing that anyway?
I like this book.
Uh-huh.
Hulk, number 15. And I don't just mean this issue, though it was rather well done. What's Duggan's first name? Is it Jerry? I want to say Jerry. Gregarious Jerry Duggan. Dugan.
Let's go with Dugan.
I told you before, this version of the Hulk just jumped off of Mark Waid. You know, Mark Waid's run had just ended. I love Mark Waid. This was a far cry from the Mark Waid book. I wasn't prepared for it, and it threw me. It took me like 3 or 4 issues to really give it a full shot, and then by issue 5 or 6, I was completely on board. And now we're on whatever issue I just said this
15,
is.
I think.
15, and the next issue is the last issue because of everything that's going to happen. And I'm like, why? Why is it every time you make the Hulk great, you end it or your whole universe? Be sad to see this go. This is so great. Buy the trades. Buy this. This is just beyond. Who knew that I could like Hulk that much? Guardians of the Galaxy. This is really. Oh, that was a major thing. I'll spoil something that I reviewed already. All right. So here's your Black Vortex spoiler in 3, 2, 1. Star-Lord proposes to Kitty. Kitty says, "Yeah, all right." So. This is the aftermath. The short-lived engagement glow in space because he now has to deal much to his chagrin, like an adult with his problems, and his problems include having been elected in absentia as president of Spartax, and the fact that after everything that just happened in Black Vortex, the Kree are gone, everybody's gone. Basically, the space is left open to be run by, and they're like, look, he's like, I'm more of a rebel against authority. I can't be the authority. And the alien guys are like, can I be frank with you? It's kind of immature. He's like, I know. And then they're like, look, you could make all these changes. Why guard the galaxy? If you could lead it, you could actually be the force you keep saying you want to be. And he goes, oh, shit. Damn. So, and now Kitty's getting used to being like first lady of a planet. And telling him, I'm keeping my last name. Also, she has already warned him, best and most realistic thing, I grew up on Long Island. I know all about this. Star-Lord's greatest threat is yet to come. He hasn't met Kitty's mother yet, and he will have to answer for the most horrible crime a space pirate could commit. He's marrying Kitty Pryde, and he's not Jewish. Mama Pride. You're going to be pissed. There can be some space conversions. Amazing X-Men wraps up nicely the return of the Juggernaut. And he's pissed. He wants to... as he loses, it's a nice juxtaposition here. This is number 19. Chris Yost wrote this. Chris Yost, I like Chris Yost. But one of the things he did here is you get this perfect juxtaposition of Kane Marco has gotten more power, and he's very altered. He's got no weaknesses left, but like visually, there's no shred left. He looks nothing. He's not human anymore. He is beyond Juggernaut Avatar. However, that last spark of humanity, because despite the fact that he was always at terms, what he wants to do with this power is he wants to go kill Cyclops, because Cyclops killed his stepbrother, and he's like, I never got along with Charlie, but he was the only one. He was the only one who ever cared about me, and he was the only one who gave me a second chance, referring to his brief, awesome, but then eradicated because other writers were like, I want him to be a bad guy. Stint as an X-Man, and it was just nice. He's like this beyond transformed, monstrous. They take the helmet off, and he's like, fine. You want the helmet off? They're trying to get the helmet off. He goes, fine. He takes the helmet off, and when you see him underneath, they're like, the telepaths are like, I still can't get into his mind, and he's like, I don't have any weaknesses left. He's like, but I'm gonna, you want me to not kill Cyclops? Stop me. And then he just goes to town. So it was great to see that spark of humanity. He wants to avenge the one person who ever cared about him, being this focal point for a man who is clearly no longer human. What Sidorak has done is given him enough power to... Sidorak's like, I will give you enough power to kill me, because Sidorak is bored. He's bored and he doesn't want to deal with this shit anymore. So he's making his avatar. It's almost like his replacement. He's like, you're not like an avatar unless you mean like in the old school Dungeons and Dragons series where Avatar was when the gods died and new people had to become gods. And, he's like an avatar. Unbeatable Squirrel Girl was the single greatest thing I've ever read. This is number 4. She just has this conversation on the moon with Galactus, and the best even, and I'm not always a fan of these things where they try and make it look like Twitter, but no, this is why you read, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tweets from Galactus at XGalactusX. Hey, guess what? I'm coming to Earth to devour the entire planet. Text 2. And nobody knows because I put my ship in a stealth field. Text 3. But wait, you say. Aha, now we know you're coming because you just posted it on social media. Tweet 4. Only you aren't saying that because nobody knows I'm coming because nobody follows me on this stupid site. Tweet 5. ... Tweet 6. Hashtag FF Follow Friday. at Ex Galactus X. Then there's a conversation between Squirrel Girl and Tony Stark. She's like, because she stole some of his armor to get to the moon. She's like, wow, your Wi-Fi works on the moon? He's like, it's not Wi-Fi. He's like, that Wi-Fi works even in Mars orbit, uses proprietary Stark technology, and costs several $1,000s a kilobyte. And she keeps going, oh my God, I'm sorry. And he's like, stop responding. And she just keeps responding to his, she's like, don't say sorry. That also costs money. Sorry. Don't reply, stop replying. And her final thing is, whoops. So that alone kicks it off great. And then she just has this whole conversation with Galactus, who ends up saying that she earns his respect because she's like, he says, no one's ever come and spoken to me as a peer before. Everyone was always either coming to me like, they try and worship me, they try and stop me, but no one ever just comes and talks. He's like, this is great. But then he's like, well, you go eat your planet before it gets stale. And she's like, what? I thought we were bonding. He's like, we were, but dude's got to eat.
Still hungry.
And then she comes up with this brilliant theory on why Galactus keeps coming to Earth. And for him, it's here. I don't want to spoil it, but I'm gonna. So 3, 2, 1. Going to Earth for Galactus is like going to the drive-thru. It's takeout. It's ordering takeout for Galactus. This is her theory. She's like, because look, every time you come to Earth, she's like, you don't want to eat the Earth. There's a million heroes, and they're all going to try and stop you and all this stuff. But that we're going to do the one thing that no one else will do. We don't need to be your herald, but we will find you. Every time you come here, we find you a suitable planet with no life on it that you can eat. And it's like, you don't want to eat us. You just want us to find you one. And this is what, she's like, and I found a place that is not only does it have no life on it, but it's covered in nuts. And he almost can't eat it because Tippy Toe's like, no, I'm not leaving. Tippy Toe's on there, but she's like, can't leave. It's just a great book. Read that book. Convergence number 3 is a bit, I don't know, forced. It's finally the fate of Batman. We know there's going to be a new Earth 2 Batman. So,
Is Bruce or Thomas?
it is Thomas. And in the Wayne family, the ghost of Queen shows up, and the ghost of Freddie Mercury just shows up in Wayne Manor, just doom, doom, doom. Another one bites dust, and another one he just puts an X on a portrait somewhere. He goes out both heroically and like a bitch, which for Thomas Wayne actually works. And what a shock! Who's the only one with him? Earth 2's Dick Grayson. Who saw this coming? But Earth 2's Dick Grayson meets Earth 2's Joker. Or a Earth's Joker. They're not sure which Earth they've met, but Jokers and Wayne sidekicks don't do well together, so nope. Alright, Wolfman returns with Wolfman returns to DC with Crisis. It's Superman and Supergirl decided they're going to escape. This is Adventures of Superman number 1 of 2. Wolfman and Roberto Villacava, and it's Superman and Supergirl pre-crisis, like 10 minutes pre-crisis. The crisis is just about to happen where they're from. And they're trying to find a way to escape the dome via the Phantom Zone. But they run into all sorts of complications there. But while they're in there, Supergirl sees what her fate is should they get back in time for crisis. But first she's terrified, but she's Supergirl, and showing that same heroism that she showed at the time. And since who better to write that than Marv? I wrote Crisis Wolfman. She's like, even if my dying changes nothing but buys them a little time, I have to do. I can't not do this. This is if I die for my friends, loved ones, and everybody else, then that's what I do. And it needs to happen. So she's like, and you get some of those same hints that you saw in Crisis back then, where how she was really, everyone looks at Superman like he is their every inspiration, but Superman's every inspiration was Kara. And it's just all, there's like cosmic feels, man. feels on Infinite Earth. Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes by Stuart Moore and Gus Storms. Stylized art that from the first page I was like, am I going to like this? And by the third page I was like, yes I am. So that was good. And it's Superboy and the Legion. It's great. There's a not quite as powerful as that ghost dog story when Krypto was in the Phantom Zone in New 52,
Yeah.
but Superboy is in the area of fallen Legionnaires, and he's looking at the statues of the Legionnaires that fell, and Wildfire's costume, because Wildfire was all power, so when the domes went up and it canceled out powers, he just dissipated. He was just gone.
Oh.
And he's sitting there and he walks in and he's like, oh, Ma, Pa, Lana, I miss you guys so much. Then he looks at all the fallen people. He drops down. And while he's crying, he says, I miss my dog. Superboy misses Krypto. Why does DC not realize that when they hit it on the head like that, why do they not realize that one of the most powerful and greatest things they could tap into is that story concept of a boy and his dog? I mean, they've called 18,000 stories that with Superman and Superboy, Superman or Superboy and Krypto. They keep messing with, how do we make Superboy work in the New 52? Just let him borrow Krypto.
Don't run with
That's
it.
it. Just give us a series of Superboy with all the. He's got a more convoluted origin in the New 52 than Hawkman has in all of DC history at this point. So, and that's hard to beat. So, just make it. Give us some stories like that Jeff Lemire series of just Superboy. The problem is there's no Ma and Pa Kent for him to go live with and ground himself. But what we need is Superboy, just a boy and his dog trying to find out, his place in the world. Perfect. That's my pitch. Con-El.
Hell, they even pulled it off in Young Justice.
Con-El and Krypto. Just an angry, misunderstood superpowered teenage boy with all the doubts in the world, and his dog, as he tries to find out, tries to make his way and try and live up to expectations while being his own person. And that's just a hard thing to do, and even harder when those expectations are Superman, or everyone either expects you to be Superman or to be this ultimate weapon. So, boom, there's your pitch, there's your series. Call me. I'll write that shit. Convergence, The Flash. Barry, stuck in Gotham, hanging with Bruce, waiting to get his powers back, missing Iris. Not a lot happens, as is the case in some of these Convergence stuff, but I think it's a really good look inside of Barry, if not a really great event. Green Lantern Corps. Together for the first time, Guy Gardner, Hal Jordan, and John Stewart. They all sort of know who each other are. Hal's met each of the others, but nobody's really come together. And this is where Hal is Green Lantern, John has just finished being his replacement, and Guy has just come out of his coma, having been kind of gypped out of being Green Lantern the first time, and then tricked, and then gets to be Green Lantern for just like a day before he gets overly put into a damn coma by Sinestro et al. So it's Guy really wanting to do something while trapped in this dome, and trying to find Hal. Hal has got his own little agenda, but then the dome kicks in and Hal won't let Guy be a Lantern because they're like, look, you got hurt trying to do this last time, let me do this. But Guy is going above and beyond to try and beat. So it's good. It's really, really good. I love this cover, reminiscent of like the old Green Lantern Mosaic series. Even John works for Mosaic Construction within the dome, so there's little tips of the hat. Who wrote this bad boy? This mamma jamma. Where's the title page? Is it at the end? Probably. It looks like a page. Storytellers were David Gallagher and Steve Ellis, and So I guess they're the because inking is Andy Park. So yeah, so good job from the two of them because it's good. It's good. Told mostly from the perspective of, or actually entirely from the perspective of Sue Dibney. Convergence Justice League of America, the Detroit era Justice League.
Oh.
The only Justice League that are so unloved and underdoggy that they make they solely exist to make my heyday Bwahaha JLI League not like look like the biggest blemish on Justice League lineups. But I love them because I am me. And this was great. Who did this one? Fabian Nicieza wrote it, and Chris Cross on the art. Oh, Chris Cross, I love you, man. I love you. This is gorgeous. Just look at that page of just, you can just feel the love. I've missed these characters. This is like the greatest thing. It's like the greatest thing. It's a smooch, and not only is they happy, but look at how happy he is, because this is the only one that doesn't go most of the way through with, oh, we're all powerless, and that same setup. It starts, boom, the day the dome is lifted, and look, he's got his powers back, and he's all set to go help the League. But who comes in but some of the, I think it's the what were they, the Tangent Justice League characters, some Tangent characters, some that I think we've seen before and some that we have not, show up and just start messing things up. But the art is gorgeous, the story is great, and vibe, man, vibe.
New 52 vibe or vibe from that era?
Original vibe. Still Paco vibe, not Cisco vibe. Even though Paco vibe and Cisco vibe are the same character, just Paco vibe goes by his middle name of Paco. Yeah. Because, well, it was like, what, the 80s, and 40 to 60-year-old white guys writing comics made the Hispanic guy named Paco. Because racism. 40 to 60-year-old white guys. They were so racist, they didn't even know it was racist. What? He's Paco.
It just is. That's the norm.
Yeah. Isn't that like John down there? Actually, they have one of those. It's called Juan. This is
Disco Suit Nightwing.
Beautiful. Because even though it's not my Titans are the Titans just before New 52. But it's drawn by one of my favorite Titans. It's like one of my favorite Titans artists of one era and the ultimate Titans writer of another. Wolfman writes it, Nicholas Scott pencils it, Mark Deering inks it, Jeremy Cox colors it, and Carlos Manguel letters it, and it is beautiful. It is beautiful. Let's look at this book.
It is.
And the story is really good. And it picks up. Marv Wolfman hasn't missed a beat for it's like you just read, you just go to the whatever point this meshes up with in his run, and just in between any issues where like stories have kind of died down, so it's not like, oh, to be continued, but like, okay, this story's wrapped up, new stories, you can read this right in the middle of that, and it just seems like it's the natural next thing. It's so great to see these characters, so great to see them written and drawn this well. It is to die for. It's beautiful. It's freaking beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful. Just read that. Batman and the Outsiders. I feel really bad for Metamorpho. He was really happy when he had no powers. That was no more. But then they took the dome down. Took it down. I love Batman. Look at the logo. Look at it. This book. Who wrote this one? Oh, that makes sense. It's written by Mark Andreyko and is drawn by Beyonda. Give me a title page. No title pages. Where do you hide them? Here we go. So written by Mark Andreyko and art by Carlos Donda and Gabe El-Taib, and letters by Steve Wands. So colors by Gabe El-Taib. Blah blah blah. Andy Kubert and Brad Anderson on the cover. So it even looks like that. It just looks, that Kubert style just makes it look like straight out of the era that the Batman and the Outsiders were on. Oh, it's good. It's really good. It's Batman and the Outsiders holding together power. The ones that don't have power, that did have powers, don't. And Batman, of course, is still Batman. And trying to just hold shit together under the dome. They've been under there for a year, and it's starting to come. People are starting to come frayed at the edges, but then everything lifts, and you've got the Outsiders again. And who they got to fight? Freaking OMAC and a bunch of mutants. So that's always a problem. Let's see. Out of Dynamite, this actually came out last week, but I forgot. Look, I got the this is LFG. This is Looking for Game, which I believe this was a web comic.
Yeah.
I was cracking up, like actually out loud. I've never read it. I don't really do web comics because me and reading comics online just never meshed. But I also am happy. I got the Ty Templeton cover, and Ty's out of the hospital as of yesterday. He'd had a heart attack and a kidney stone, just because insult to injury. So
critical fail.
So best best wishes to you and your family. Get well soon, because c'est bon, and the world needs you. The world needs you to make it pretty. The Black Hand, Archie's Dark Circle. Tortured soul of a cop replaces the deceased Black Hand. This is the third issue of this. It's been great. It's Dwayne Straczynski and Michael Gaydos on art. Rachel Deering lettering. I swear I just said her for something. Kelly Fitzpatrick does the colors. It's got this dark tone look. Very, very gradient, but it really works. When they say, that comic's really dark and gritty, this comic is both. It's written as dark and gritty, and it is literally dark and gritty looking. It is just gritty, and it really works. And I've ordered everything from the Dark Circle, because Red Circle was good, Dark Circle is better. Ivar the Time Walker. Wow. This book is fun. Fred Van Lente just does a great job writing it, and Clayton Henry's art, beautiful. The universe doesn't like it when you try and change it. So we've got our recently separated from Ivar heroine, Neela, is trying to undo things from her past that she didn't like, but turns out there's like a whole collection, a whole bar full of hers that have tried this and it doesn't seem to be working.
Oops.
So there's her from like all these different time periods in time, and it's just great, really well done. I love everything that they do over at the Valiant of Val. Magic the Magician guest stars in the Phantom #2. I like this new. He's a Phantom holding card. They haven't found the next heir to the Phantom is a baby, but the world needs a Phantom. So, a friend of his is stepping in and holding down the fort. That's just a great concept, Flash Gordon, also #3. Flash Gordon #3. Ben Acker and Ben Blacker, which is just fun to say as a creative team. But it's good. It's starting to really grow on me. I really liked the run before this. So this was, I don't do well with those adjustments of, I really like this. What do you mean? Issue whatever, and it's done. And you give me different people and starting over at #1. But it picked up where it left off. So it's still part of that. It's not like, because Dynamite does the thing sometimes where they'll just have 20 versions of the character, or a series ends and they just go a whole nother direction with it. This is actually, they're like, you know what, we're gonna stick this and do this and do it. And it's been great. This whole King Features logo on there just means that these are all part of this shared universe. that's been really good, and I'm really liking this. And it looks like I'm out of stuffs, so you are free to go and move around the cabins, okay?